At 3:12 a.m., the night over Crimea split open. A single orange bloom rose from the horizon, not from a missile, not from an airstrike, but from deep inside Russian-occupied territory itself. By dawn, the flames could be seen from orbit. Moscow's prized oil refinery, gone. But no radar blip, no drone signature, no invasion alarm ever appeared. Because the attack didn't come from the sky, it came from beneath the ice. 9 Ukrainian commandos had crossed the frozen Sivash lagoon under cover of night, silent, invisible, and unstoppable. By sunrise, Russia's war machine was running on fumes. It was called Operation Black Ember, a mission so daring even Western analysts thought it was a fabrication. So who were the men that vanished into the night? And how did they ignite the most mysterious explosion of the war? For months, satellites had been tracking fuel shipments leaving the Jankoy oil refining complex, a sprawling facility seized by Russian forces early in the invasion. It processed over 80,000 barrels per day, feeding frontline armored divisions and air bases across southern Ukraine. Destroy it, and the entire 14th Guards Army's fuel chain would seize up overnight. But this wasn't an easy target. The complex sat behind triple fences, minefields, and thermal drones supplied by Iran, and it was guarded by elements of Russia's 810th Naval Infantry Brigade. No artillery strike could reach it without detection, and air raids had already failed. So Kiev's Special Operations Command, known as SBU Alpha Group, proposed the unthinkable: infiltrate the peninsula itself. 9 men were chosen, all veterans of cross-border sabotage missions. Codenames only: Raven, Kryla, Nomad, Vovk, Pilot, Ash, Sable, Ghost, and Medic. Their insertion gear was stripped to essentials: QRF-19 submersible drones, used to ferry small teams across shallow lagoons; Brugger and Tomet APC-9K carbines with suppressors; M112 C4 demolition slabs pre-cut for rapid arming; rations, encrypted SAT beacons, and cold weather camouflage. Each man carried less than 25 kilograms because speed would decide survival. At 22:14 hours, 2 civilian fishing boats left the Ukrainian-held coast of Kherson. From the air, they looked routine, but beneath one hull was the sealed transport pod of the QRF-19. Once midway across the lagoon, the boats shut off engines, and the men slipped silently into knee-deep brine. For 6 hours, they waded through icy water and sludge, guided only by compass bearings and a flickering satellite map. Frostbite was a constant threat. One man's boot filled with freezing mud. He kept walking anyway. By 4:30, they reached the far bank, the Crimean side. Russian patrols passed less than 300 meters away. Every sound, a crunch of ice, a cough, could mean death. 2 weeks before the mission, Ukrainian intelligence had contacted a refinery engineer still living in occupied territory. His codename, Orion. Orion had sent blueprints showing the main pumping gallery, where 16 massive centrifugal pumps, each a VNI-INP 2000 model, fed crude into the heating towers. Destroy those and the plant would collapse in seconds. He also revealed a weakness: a maintenance tunnel running beneath the western perimeter fence used for wastewater drainage. It was unguarded, old Soviet infrastructure nobody remembered. That was the entry point. At 2:37 a.m., the commandos reached the drainage culvert. They cut through corroded bars, crawling single file through a tunnel barely shoulder wide. The air stank of oil and rust. Emerging inside the compound, they moved like shadows between the towering distillation columns. Thermal cameras swept the yards above them, but the ambient heat from the refinery masked their signatures. Nature itself became camouflage. Ghost planted sensors along the catwalk to jam radio frequencies. Medic checked his watch, 3:11. They had 19 minutes before the next guard rotation. Each man carried 2 M112 C4 blocks fitted with RP-89 remote triggers. Their plan: plant 6 charges on the VNIINP 2000 pump array, 2 more on the fuel manifold, 1 on the control center's backup generator. Pilot whispered, "Once we light this, no turning back." They synchronized watches, armed the fuses, and withdrew down the same culvert. At exactly 3:29, Raven tapped his transmitter twice. The first explosion was dull, a low internal thud, then a shockwave. The refinery's heart erupted upward in a column of fire half a kilometer high. Steel beams folded like paper. Fuel tanks ignited one after another in a chain of detonations. Satellite sensors registered the thermal bloom instantly. Civilians 40 kilometers away saw the sky turn orange. By the time Russian troops reached the scene, every surveillance drone feed had been jammed. The Ukrainians were already gone. Instead of heading north, the team moved west, toward the coast near Yevpatoria. They rode stolen maintenance bikes for 30 kilometers through back roads, disguised as refinery workers. At dawn, they buried their uniforms, attached towed sleds to electric Sea Dart Mk2 inflatables, and vanished into the Black Sea fog. Russian radar picked up nothing. 2 days later, NATO satellites photographed an empty stretch of beach on the Ukrainian side. In the sand, 9 sets of footprints leading inland. The Jankoy refinery burned for 32 hours. Analysis from Maxar imagery showed 14 storage tanks destroyed, 6 pipeline valves ruptured, and production halted indefinitely. Russia lost an estimated 60,000 barrels of refined fuel, worth nearly $5 million US. But the real impact was strategic. Fuel convoys to the Zaporizhzhia front collapsed. Aircraft at Belbek Air Base were grounded for days. And for the first time, Russian command publicly admitted an act of sabotage. Kiev said nothing. Officially, there was no Operation Black Ember. Of the 9 men, only 8 returned. Sable, the youngest, was last seen holding the rear guard near the lagoon. When the others reached extraction, he wasn't there. Weeks later, Russian channels claimed they'd captured a Ukrainian saboteur. No proof, no name, just blurred footage of a blindfolded soldier. To this day, his fate remains unknown. Inside the SBU headquarters in Kiev, a single black patch bearing his code name hangs above the briefing room door. The parallels weren't lost on historians. Just as Norwegian Commandos crippled Hitler's nuclear program in 1943, Ukrainian operatives had struck a modern empire's fuel lifeline, not with overwhelming force, but with precision and audacity. Both missions relied on what warfare often forgets: local intelligence, human resolve, and silence. Russian state media first blamed a mechanical malfunction, then Ukrainian drones. Only weeks later did intercepted chatter reveal the truth. Soldiers on the ground had found shaped charge residue, NATO-grade composition C4. The cover story collapsed, but by then, the world had moved on. The refinery lay in ruins, its twisted columns a monument to invisible warfare. In an undisclosed training base near Odessa, a new generation of Ukrainian Special Forces cadets studies the Black Ember file. They memorize every line: entry point, escape window, timing. One inscription sits on the wall: "Noise is easy. Silence wins wars." When historians write about modern asymmetric warfare, they'll mention missiles, drones, and cyber strikes. But they'll also remember the night when 9 men crossed a frozen lagoon with nothing but courage, intelligence, and conviction, and changed the balance of a war. Because sometimes history doesn't roar, it whispers in footsteps on ice. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll get early access to more technical military breakdowns. And if you thought this video was intense, you'll definitely want to check out the next one. Just click on the end screen up next. You won't want to miss it. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.